So hey y'all, I'm back to school y'all bitches once again because somebody asked to. But I'm actually here to talk about the internet's favorite topic right now, which is cultural appropriation. I studied cultural appropriation, and like before we had huge internet stuff like this and social media like this, you actually had to like go read books and things. So when I learned about cultural appropriation, it was before Tumblr got a hold of it. It was before Twitter and all that shit happened. So I had to actually learn it from the source, which is actually science. And then when social media got a hold of it, like people started talking about it and it was great, but then it became such a huge topic that people just start throwing it out at whatever they fucking want, not knowing what the fuck it is because nobody studies anything anymore. And everyone just sees, oh, cultural appropriation, oh, it's a hot word to use, and we're just gonna use it for everything because it's cool and it's gonna get me retweets and likes and blah 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 blah. And it's gonna be cause the whole thing, and I'm gonna be put on BuzzFeed and whatever. And it's just, and it bugs me because you guys start calling all these things cultural appropriation to the point where nobody takes it seriously anymore because there's so much stuff being called cultural appropriation that's not actually cultural appropriation. So then when people who actually know what it means and actually try to call out shit that's actually harmful, nobody takes it seriously because it's being used for everything. So everyone's like, here they go again with this fake outrage and nobody cares because they're all a bunch of dumbass monkeys, right? No. So I want to talk to you guys today about what exactly cultural appropriation is and what exactly it's not, so that we can all get on the same page and cut out that fake outrage and we can actually start calling out shit that it's actually cultural appropriation and needs to stop. Okay? All right, it's Gucci. Let's get started. So, in the fancy scientific words, it's cultural appropriation is the adoption or use of elements of one culture by members of another culture without giving credit. Basically, it's stealing. You're stealing shit from another culture. You didn't give them credit. You're profiting off of it. Whatever the fuck it is, you stealing. You stealing, bitch. Run up. So examples of this is wearing Native American headdresses, or dressing up as a geisha, or mini twist buns, boxer braids, bitch, you mean cornrows? So I also want to talk about what cultural appropriation is not, because I feel like everybody, white, black, or otherwise, needs a refresher on this because I see it come up from everybody. There's a lot of people of color out here yelling cultural appropriation of shit that don't got nothing to do with appropriation. I literally saw a post yesterday on Tumblr that was like, big asses is cultural appropriation. Bitch, in what culture is having an ass a cultural value? It's not, you don't get the fuck. It's not just participating in another culture. That is fine. Just participating in culture, like just listening to hip hop music, is not cultural appropriation because you're not taking anything, you're not claiming credit for anything, you're just participating. You're listening to cultural appropriation. Now, you better not say the word nigga or you're gonna get these hands right upside your fucking head. If you're just listening to hip hop music, that's not a problem. If you just looking at a fucking headdress or you just want to admire it, that's not cultural appropriation because you're not taking anything, right? What would be cultural appropriation is if you just want to slide your white ass into hip hop and pretend like you invented hip hop. Macklemore. Now, that would be cultural appropriation because now you're not just participating in, you're taking it and you're claiming it as something that you're the first to do or you the main bitch. Nah, sweetheart, you're a guest in our house, so sit your ass down in the back. Ain't nobody invite you here, okay? Not just something that somebody invented, right? So this is one of the key factors that makes something cultural appropriation is that you're taking something of cultural significance or value. That doesn't necessarily mean just something that another race invented. So just because a fucking black person created fucking potato chips doesn't mean it's cultural appropriation to eat potato chips. Because potato chips have absolutely no cultural value to black people or any culture at all. There are not fucking ceremonies or religious beliefs around potato chips. They're just fucking potato chips. Somebody invented potato chips. Nobody cares who invented them. They're potato chips. They're food. Just eat them, okay? We don't care. The biggest things that I see people bring up and it really pisses me off is that, oh, it'll be something like, oh, well, white people invented jeans, so you can't wear jeans because, oh, well, don't eat pizza then because Italians created pizza, so it's now cultural appropriation for anybody who's not Italian to eat pizza. No, 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 bitch. No, because jeans and pizza have absolutely no cultural value to Italians or white people. Absolutely not at all. I mean, if you can write me a 15-page APA cited paper on the cultural significance of jeans and pizza to white people, then I will never wear jeans or eat pizza ever again. But it's not going to happen because you know it's bullshit. The other thing that I wanted to address is, can people of color appropriate culture? The short answer is yes. So there is this concept called horizontal oppression. And so what that means basically is when we think about oppression on a larger scale, it's like a power, right? It's a power structure. It's white people up here and everybody else is down here. Straight people are up here, everybody else is down here. But horizontal oppression is basically everybody else attacking each other. Everybody on the bottom is just going at each other. The actual scientific definition of it, since y'all like those so much, is when people from targeted groups believe, act on, or enforce dominant systems of oppression against other members of targeted groups. So, for example, just because I'm black does not mean I can jump in and out of whatever other culture that I want to. Just because I'm black doesn't mean I can just waltz into Native American culture and start wearing headdresses because it's not my culture. I don't know anything about Native American culture. I have never lived as a Native American. I don't know their struggle. Our struggles are completely different as different people of color. But that's not my culture to just jump into and just be like, yo, bitch, hey, I'm black, so I can take whatever I want from every other culture because we all the same. We're not. We're not the same. We're all different. We all got different struggles. All of our cultures are different. So while it may not be the same thing on the level of white people taking it, it's still hurtful. So with that being said, yes, people of color can still appropriate culture. While it may not have the same effect as white people do it because that power structure is not there, you're still appropriating cultures. Just because you're oppressed don't mean you don't got to stay in your lane. Keep it pushing. Which brings me to my next point, which is cultural appropriation versus appreciation. And basically, the difference between this is if you are invited to participate in something, that is appreciation. Invited to participate in something, if somebody from that culture is sharing a piece of culture with you, that's totally fine because you're not just taking it from them and claiming it as yours. Now, where that does go down south is if they're sharing something with you and then you take that piece with you and then you go run off with it and pretend like you created it or you're now whatever. Like I'm looking at you white people who go to Africa once and then you come back wearing dashikis and you got your hair braided and you think that you're African now because you went to Africa for a week and somebody gave you a dashiki. No, sweetie, you need to hang that up. Wear that in the privacy of your own home, girl, because you're not down with the black. You're not black. Not cultural appropriation versus assimilation. This is where a lot of the arguments come from. So this is where we get well, you can't wear straight hair if I can't wear cornrows. No, no. First of all, like we talked about before, straight hair has no cultural significance. But cultural assimilation is when people are forced to adapt to another culture. Now, I don't know about you, but in America, pretty much every racial group that wasn't white was forced to give up their culture and assimilate to whiteness. So it is not the same thing when black people straighten their hair, whether they're doing it out of self-hate or they just want to straighten their hair or whatever, dye their hair a different color. It is not the same. It's not appropriation when you guys literally forced us to do so. It's not appropriation because Latino people speak English when you quite literally would kill them for not speaking English. Like those were things that you guys did. You understand that, right? Like you literally would kill people unless they assimilated the white culture. So there's hundreds of years of you literally telling us to do this shit. You don't get to come back now and tell us to not do that because you can't wear cornrows, because you're mad that you can't wear cornrows. No, bitch, we doing what you told us to do. You don't get to come back now and change your mind. So why doesn't matter? Why is it harmful? Basically, it all boils down to this. Everybody want to be a nigga, but don't nobody want to be a nigga. You want to hop in and out of black culture or whatever culture it is, but you don't actually want to have to live as a black person. You don't actually want to have to be treated as a black person. A lot of our culture was derived from shit that we had to do to survive in America because of shit that you, white people, did to us. Okay, so you don't get to just come and jump in and take the fun parts of blackness that you like and then jump back out when it gets hard. You don't just get to claim blackness for part-time and then jump back into your white safety net. That's not how it works because we don't get to do that. We don't get to just jump in and out of blackness. Whether or not I want to straighten my hair or dye my hair blonde, I'm still gonna be black. Everybody wants to participate in the fun parts of cultures, but they don't want to actually have to live as those people because you know that we're living like trash, because you know we're treated like shit. So you want to take our hairstyles and our music and the fun parts of being black, but you don't want to be called a nigger. You don't want to have the lesser pay. You don't want to have the higher jail sentences. You don't want to have to be shot and killed by the police every 28 hours. You don't want to be followed in the fucking store. You don't want to have to be fired for wearing your hair natural. You don't want to be kicked out of school. Those are all things that are happening to us every single fucking day. Those are things that we have to deal with, that we don't get to jump in and out of. We don't get to hopscotch in and out of this. So when we get to deal with all this stuff, we also get to listen to hip hop and wear our hair however the fuck we want to. Okay? You don't get to do all that. You can participate, you can admire from afar, but bitch, you stay behind that line because you ain't one of us. Okay? You are a guest in our culture. You are not a part of our culture. You're a guest. You can look, but you can't touch. All right? To pretend to be black, you don't get to hop in and out of this culture. And then when it's time to actually come to fight for black people and black lives, where are you? You ain't nowhere to be found. Until you receive the same punishments that I do for being black, you don't get to participate in blackness. And that's just that.